Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Weedy annual, native to Europe but widely distributed as a weed, especially in wheat. A board game for two players who move their 16 pieces according to specific rules. The object is to checkmate the opponent's king. Weedy annual, native to Europe but widely distributed as a weed, especially in wheat. Weedy annual, native to Europe but widely distributed as a weed, especially in wheat. Engage in deceitful behavior. Practice trickery or fraud. Weedy annual grass often occurs in grain fields and other cultivated land. Seeds sometimes considered poisonous. Deprive somebody of something by deceit. We were cheated by their clever-sounding scheme. Defeat someone through trickery or deceit. Someone who leads you to believe something that is not true. Be sexually unfaithful to one's partner in marriage. She cheats on her husband. The act of swindling by some fraudulent scheme. A deception for profit to yourself. A board game for two players who move their 16 pieces according to specific rules. The object is to checkmate the opponent's king. Any of various woodland and meadow grasses of the genus Bromus, native to temperate regions. Any of various woodland and meadow grasses of the genus Bromus, native to temperate regions. A game played on a specially designed board. A form of chess played on a board of 81 squares. Each player has 20 pieces. The act of moving a chess piece. A board having 64 squares of two alternating colors. A board having 64 squares of two alternating colors. A situation in which no progress can be made or no advancement is possible. Drawing position in chess. Any of a player's possible moves would place his king in check. Subject to a stalemate. Make or become black. The smoke blackened the ceiling. Popular child actress of the 1930s, born in 1928. Used of conduct or character, deserving or bringing disgrace or shame. Man has written one of his blackest records as a destroyer on the oceanic islands. The quality or state of the achromatic color of least lightness, bearing the least resemblance to white. Extremely dark. A black moonless night. British chemist who identified carbon dioxide and who formulated the concepts of specific heat and latent heat, 1728 to 1799. Stemming from evil characteristics or forces, wicked or dishonorable. Black deeds. Of the face, made black especially as with suffused blood. A face black with fury. Soiled with dirt or soot. With feet black from playing outdoors. Distributed or sold illicitly. The black economy pays no taxes. Total absence of light. In the black of night. Offering little or no hope. The future looked black. Of events, having extremely unfortunate or dire consequences, bringing ruin. A person with African ancestry. Harshly ironic or sinister. Black humor. Being of the achromatic color of maximum darkness, having little or no hue owing to absorption of almost all incident light. Black leather jackets. Black clothing, worn as a sign of mourning. The widow wore black. Board games, the darker pieces. Marked by anger or resentment or hostility. Black looks. Of coffee, without cream or sugar. Of intelligence operations, deliberately misleading. Black propaganda. Of or belonging to a racial group, especially of sub-Saharan African origin. A great people, a black people, injected new meaning and dignity into the veins of civilization. The region of the angle formed by the junction of two branches. They took the South Fork. Lift with a pitchfork. Pitchfork hay. Divide into two or more branches so as to form a fork. The road forks. The angle formed by the inner sides of the legs where they join the human trunk. The act of branching out or dividing into branches. An agricultural tool used for lifting or digging. Has a handle and metal prongs. Cutlery used for serving and eating food. Place under attack with one's own pieces, of two enemy pieces. Shape like a fork. She forked her fingers. The officer below the master on a commercial ship. A person's partner in marriage. A chess move constituting an inescapable and indefensible attack on the opponent's king. One of a pair. He lost the mate to his shoe. South American holly. Leaves used in making a drink like tea. Place an opponent's king under an attack from which it cannot escape and thus ending the game. Kasparov checkmated his opponent after only a few moves. A fellow member of a team. It was his first start against his former teammates. Engage in sexual intercourse. Birds mate in the spring. Bring two objects, ideas, or people together. An exact duplicate. Informal term for a friend of the same sex. South American tea-like drink made from leaves of a South American holly called mate. The partner of an animal, especially a sexual partner. He loved the mare and all her mates. Of textures, full of small openings or gaps. An open texture. Not defended or capable of being defended. An open city. Possibly accepting or permitting. Open to interpretation. With no protection or shield. Open to the weather. Not sealed or having been unsealed. The letter was already open. Openly straightforward and direct without reserve or secretiveness. An open and trusting nature. Affording free passage or view. Open waters. Start to operate or function or cause to start operating or functioning. Open a business. A clear or unobstructed space or expanse of land or water. Finally broke out of the forest into the open. Ready or willing to receive favorably. Used of mouth or eyes. Keep your eyes open. Spread out or open from a closed or folded state. Open the map. Become available. An opportunity opened up. Afford access to. The door opens to the patio. Open and observable, not secret or hidden. Open ballots. Where the air is unconfined. The concert was held in the open air, affording unobstructed entrance and exit, not shut or closed. An open door. Become open. The door opened. Information that has become public. All the reports were out in the open. Make available. This opens up new possibilities. Cause to open or to become open. Mary opened the car door. Not brought to a conclusion, subject to further thought. An open question. Accessible to all. Open season. Affording free passage or access. Open drains. A tournament in which both professionals and amateurs may play. Begin or set in action, of meetings, speeches, recitals, etc. He opened the meeting with a long speech. Display the contents of a file or start an application as on a computer. Having no protecting cover or enclosure. An open boat. Make the opening move. Kasparov opened with a standard opening. Not having been filled. The job is still open. Not requiring union membership. An open shop employs non-union workers. Open to or in view of all. An open protest. Ready for business. The stores are open. Set theory, of an interval that contains neither of its endpoints. Without undue constriction as from e.g. tenseness or inhibition. The clarity and resonance of an open tone. Have an opening or passage or outlet. The bedrooms open into the hall. A holder attached to the gunwale of a boat that holds the oar in place and acts as a fulcrum for rowing. Small markers inserted into a surface to mark scores or define locations, etc. To hold fast or prevent from moving. The child was pinned under the fallen tree. When a wrestler's shoulders are forced to the mat. Cylindrical tumblers consisting of two parts that are held in place by springs. When they are aligned with a key, the bolt can be thrown. Axis consisting of a short shaft that supports something that turns. A number you choose and use to gain access to various accounts. Flagpole used to mark the position of the hole on a golf green. Informal terms for the leg. A club-shaped wooden object used in bowling, set up in triangular groups of 10 as the target. A piece of jewelry that is pinned onto the wearer's garment. A small, slender, often pointed, piece of wood or metal used to support or fasten or attach things. Attach or fasten with pins. Pin the needle to the shirt. Chess. Immobilize a piece. Pierce with a pin. Pin down the butterfly. Give a promotion to or assign to a higher position. I got promoted after many years of hard work. Make publicity for, try to sell, a product. Contribute to the progress or growth of. Be changed for a superior chess or checker piece. Change a pawn for a better piece by advancing it to the 8th row, or change a checker piece for a more valuable piece by moving it to the row closest to your opponent. A female sovereign ruler. Female cat. Offensive term for a homosexual man. A competitor who holds a preeminent position. An especially large mole rat and the only member of a colony of naked mole rats to bear offspring which are sired by only a few males. Become a queen. Her pawn queened. Chess, the most powerful piece. One of 4 face cards in a deck bearing a picture of a queen. Promote to a queen, as of a pawn in chess. Something personified as a woman who is considered the best or most important of her kind. Paris is the queen of cities. The only fertile female in a colony of social insects such as bees and ants and termites. Its function is to lay eggs. The wife or widow of a king. A senior member of the Christian clergy having spiritual and administrative authority. Appointed in Christian churches to oversee priests or ministers. Considered in some churches to be successors of the 12 apostles of Christ. Chess. A piece that can be moved diagonally over unoccupied squares of the same color. Port wine mulled with oranges and cloves. A large and stately mansion. Chess. The piece that can move any number of unoccupied squares in a direction parallel to the sides of the chessboard. Interchanging the positions of the king and a rook. A large building formerly occupied by a ruler and fortified against attack. Move the king 2 squares toward a rook and in the same move the rook to the square next past the king. An appraisal of the state of affairs. A check on its dependability under stress. Be verified or confirmed. Pass inspection. These stories don't check. Make cracks or chinks in. The heat checked the paint. A mark left after a small piece has been chopped or broken off of something. Examine so as to determine accuracy, quality, or condition. Check the brakes. Develop, a child's or animal's, behavior by instruction and practice, especially to teach self-control. Become fractured. Break or crack on the surface only. Lessen the intensity of. Temper. Hold in restraint. Hold or keep within limits. The state of inactivity following an interruption. Held them in check. Find out, learn, or determine with certainty, usually by making an inquiry or other effort. Slow the growth or development of. A written order directing a bank to pay money. He paid all his bills by check. Be careful or certain to do something. Make certain of something. Mark into squares or draw squares on. Draw crossed lines on. Additional proof that something that was believed, some fact or hypothesis or theory, is correct. A mark indicating that something has been noted or completed, etc. As he called the roll, he put a check mark by each student's name. The act of inspecting or verifying. They made a check of their equipment. Something immaterial that interferes with or delays action or progress. The bill in a restaurant. He asked the waiter for the check. Put a check mark on or near or next to. Please check each name on the list. Be compatible, similar or consistent. Coincide in their characteristics. The handwriting checks with the signature on the check. Hold back, as of a danger or an enemy. Check the expansion or influence of. The act of restraining power or action or limiting excess. Abandon the intended prey, turn, and pursue an inferior prey. Arrest the motion of something abruptly. He checked the flow of water by shutting off the main valve. A textile pattern of squares or crossed lines, resembling a checkerboard. She wore a skirt with checks. Block or impede, a player from the opposing team, in ice hockey. Chess, a direct attack on an opponent's king. Consign for shipment on a vehicle. Check your luggage before boarding. Decline to initiate betting. Hand over something to somebody as for temporary safekeeping. Make an examination or investigation. Check into the rumor. Obstructing an opponent in ice hockey. Place into check. He checked my kings. Stop for a moment, as if out of uncertainty or caution. She checked for an instant and missed a step. Stop in a chase, especially when scent is lost. The dog checked. Verify by consulting a source or authority. Check the spelling of this word. Write out a check on a bank account. A recognized sequence of moves at the beginning of a game of chess. He memorized all the important chess openings. An attack by a defending force against an attacking enemy force in order to regain lost ground or cut off enemy advance units, etc. Make a counterattack. Chess, an attack that is intended to counter the opponent's advantage in another part of the board. Chess, an attack that is intended to counter the opponent's advantage in another part of the board. Processing a photosensitive material in order to make an image visible. The development and printing of his pictures took only 2 hours. The act of making some area of land or water more profitable or productive or useful. The development of Alaskan resources. A process in which something passes by degrees to a different stage, especially a more advanced or mature stage. The development of his ideas took many years. Biology, the process of an individual organism growing organically. A purely biological unfolding of events involved in an organism changing gradually from a simple to a more complex level. He proposed an indicator of osseous development in children. Act of improving by expanding or enlarging or refining. He congratulated them on their development of a plan to meet the emergency. A district that has been developed to serve some purpose. Such land as practical for small park developments. A recent event that has some relevance for the present situation. Recent developments in Iraq. A state in which things are improving, the result of developing, as in the early part of a game of chess. After he saw the latest development, he changed his mind and became a supporter. Music, the section of a composition or movement, especially in sonata form, where the major musical themes are developed and elaborated. Incidentally, in the course of doing something else. Chess. A chess pawn that is moved 2 squares can be captured by an opponent's pawn commanding the square that was passed. Exchange or replace with another, usually of the same kind or category. The act of changing one thing for another thing. Adam was promised immortality in exchange for his disobedience. Give to, and receive from, one another. Put in the place of another, switch seemingly equivalent items. Reciprocal transfer of equivalent sums of money, especially the currencies of different countries. Exchange a penalty for a less severe one. A workplace that serves as a telecommunications facility where lines from telephones can be connected together to permit communication. The act of putting one thing or person in the place of another. Sports, an unbroken sequence of several successive strokes. Change over, change around, as to a new order or sequence. A mutual expression of views, especially an unpleasant one. They had a bitter exchange. A workplace for buying and selling, open only to members. Chemical process in which one atom or ion or group changes places with another. Chess, gaining, or losing, a rook in return for a knight or bishop. Black lost the exchange. Chess, the capture by both players, usually on consecutive moves, of pieces of equal value. The endgame began after the exchange of queens. Hand over one and receive another, approximately equivalent. Exchange prisoners. The act of giving something in return for something received. Deductible losses on sales or exchanges of property are allowable. A chessman shaped to resemble the head of a horse can move 2 squares horizontally and 1 vertically, or vice versa. Troops trained to fight on horseback. 500 horse led the attack. A framework for holding wood that is being sawed. A padded gymnastic apparatus on legs. Solid-hoofed herbivorous quadruped domesticated since prehistoric times. Provide with a horse or horses. A male sovereign, ruler of a kingdom. A competitor who holds a preeminent position. A very wealthy or powerful businessman. United States guitar player and singer of the blues, born in 1925. United States woman tennis player, born in 1943. United States charismatic civil rights leader and Baptist minister who campaigned against the segregation of blacks, 1929 to 1968. A checker that has been moved to the opponent's first row where it is promoted to a piece that is free to move either forward or backward. Chess, the weakest but the most important piece. One of the 4 playing cards in a deck bearing the picture of a king. Preeminence in a particular category or group or field. The lion is the king of beasts. A chessman shaped to resemble the head of a horse can move 2 squares horizontally and 1 vertically, or vice versa. Raise someone to knighthood. The Beatles were knighted. Originally a person of noble birth trained to arms and chivalry. Today in Great Britain a person honored by the sovereign for personal merit.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.